now, Lynn. The next question is from somebody who operates in high-level diplomatic and academic circles in China. And he says, Mr. LaRouche, this is on the question of the Dubai crisis. There are currently many warnings in China that we should take heed of the Dubai crisis for China's own economy, and that it is a much more dangerous speculative bubble than some Western analysts are admitting, certainly as you've referred to in your remarks. My question is, since it does appear that the Dubai crisis marks a new stage of the current global financial crisis, how do you think that China should react?
Well, the first thing we need, and China needs it as well as the rest of us, first thing we need is a clear plan of what we're going to do, because the plan will define what our circumstances are. The first thing we have to do is get enough power together where we can actually define some policy which will stick. My view is that the agreement of Russia, China, India, and the United States is enough power to make policy. Now, then we have to be just simply practical, scientifically practical. We have to work and have a discussion, because we know that one of the key problems here is that the openness to China of shipping U.S. production to China, for example, without all the technology needed, was a device in which China never was paid enough for the development of China as a whole. So you suddenly have a collapse of the China external market for these goods, but you have left China with less, probably 2/3 of China has not really been developed. Now, a country functions on the basis of the development of its entire people. You have to have a development process which is moving the entire population. And you have a lot of China which is not developed. The approach to development of the railway system, which has become a China characteristic, is essentially an example of trying to deal with that problem. But obviously we have to have a fixed exchange rate system where China has some protection on the prices of its exports. At the same time, the credit is being generated among nations in which the amount of credit required will be generated. In other words, you got 1.4 billion people, and they have to develop. Therefore, you have to start from saying a discussion with China's representatives and with others. China has 1.4 billion people, and they're going to have more people. How do we generate a rate of net growth of the productivity of China itself so that China is an integrated nation in the sense that we understand an integrated nation? Therefore, that has to be an agreement among nations as parties to an agreement which come to an effect of a contract among nations to say we're going to have price regulation and technology rights regulation under which China will be able to solve its own problems within its own borders. And we have to do the same thing with the other countries. We've got a problem in India. India's got a very similar problem. India's got a different kind of problem, but it's also got the same Asian problem of a vast percent of the population which is terribly poor. Whole parts of India don't know even what electricity is in the sense of having it available. You have the Asian problem is largely that. The African problem is another case of this. Africa has been treated as a slave, all of Africa. And China's behavior in Africa is one of the great embarrassments to London. Because China honors its agreements. London never does. So we need to have enough power concentrated in enough hands, a few hands, so that these conditions can be reduced to contract agreements among nations, medium to long-term contracts. In other words, we have to sit back with the Chinese and others and say, what do we want to do? Let's figure out what we should do. It can be flexible and adjustable, but we have to have a working agreement on policy, on tariff and trade agreements. And we have to have enough power sitting at the table to make it stick. My view is if we have this power, the United States, China, Russia, and India, and other countries which would readily join them. That's from Asia. Japan, the conflict of Japan is well known, but Japan and Korea will operate in the area of Russia and China. Therefore, their existence depends now not on the British anymore, but on Russia and China and their relations with Russia and China. And we are in a period where Japan has got a certain nuclear building capability, and we need all the nuclear power we can get in Asia. The development of Northern Asia, in terms of the Russian part, is extremely important. We need all the technology we can get to solve that problem. We can get it if we have an agreement among these nations, because we have enough power to write a contract, a diplomatic contract, long term. And that's what China needs. It's got a big problem of its population, its poverty. All of Asia has this problem. Terrible poverty throughout nearly all of Asia. And we need a contract among nations which says we have a plan for how we adjust things, so we're going to solve this problem. I don't think you can do it on an individual nation basis because it involves cooperation. And essentially, we're going to have to create a fixed exchange rate international credit system among nations. Get rid of this monetary system, and we'll create the credit, we'll do the job. I'm convinced we can. But we need that contract.